I know. You know what a minister's worst nightmare? His worst nightmare is he has all these notes up here on the platform, and then the air conditioning kicks in. It's probably your greatest dream because he puts page 4 instead of page 1, and he goes, and so it is, amen. You know, they say that the only prayer and only sermon you really need is this thank you, God, yes? Yeah, well, I'm not going to listen to that today. Take a breath with me. One of my favorite of the scriptures, St. Paul said, "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." You see it several places in our church. I believe it's Romans chapter 12. "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, by the renewing of your thoughts, by the renewing of your perspectives. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your judgments, your relationships, your experiences. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your perspectives, your feelings, and most importantly, your attitudes. Your attitudes." Today is all about transformation, about going to a higher place, of operating at the place that you were created to be, operating at the highest level of expression and experience of the vast miracle of God, of life, of love. In particular, today we are talking about transformation through the renewing of our mind around the idea of generosity, around the idea of giving, sharing. And I want to begin as a foundation, a quote from a man named Kent Nurburn who writes, "Giving is a miracle that transforms hearts. Two people who moments before lived in separate worlds of private concerns suddenly meet each other over a simple act of sharing, and the world expands, and something new comes into being." Clearly stated in this quote is that giving, generosity, sharing mindfully, consciously, and sometimes even wastefully. You know, the Buddhists say you're only going to be asked 2 questions when you leave this planet. Did you live fully, and did you love wastefully? Are you giving of the blessings that you have been given? Are you giving of the life fully and completely that you have been given? And every spiritual thinker, every sage throughout history has taught us that generosity is absolutely important. Case in point, Buddha. Buddha said, without generosity, enlightenment is impossible. A Jewish teacher, Rami Shapiro, observes acts of generosity are essential to the spiritual life. Give, says Jesus. For whatever measure you deal out to others will be dealt out to you as well. Just like the prayer that we just heard from David, giving and receiving is the same thing. From the karma yoga practice, we learned that the secret to enlightenment is kindness and selfless giving. Read that in. Starting today, for 5 weeks, we are going to explore the spiritual principle of generosity. It's all a part of our Shift initiative. We are taking this church to the highest place by strengthening our core, strengthening our relationship with the divine, our relationship with the divine as the relationships that we have in the room as family. And we're doing it through being generous, showing up in the complete fullness of who we are meant to be and everything that we have been given. And there are 5 tools that we're going to use over the next 5 weeks. They'll be repeated over and over and over again, but they are absolutely crucial tools to the transformative path. Number 1, prayer. The most important, and it's number 1 for a reason. It's the foundation of everything that Unity teaches. Turning away from the outside world. You're in it. You can't escape it. But you're going to turn within and not be of the world, as the master teacher said. So prayer. We're going to transform this church and the individual lives in this church through prayer, also through vision. You know, you can't get what you want until you know what it is you want. Everything is in mind, is created first in mind and then in reality. And so we are using vision of stepping into a new container of possibility. If you can't see it, if you can't taste it internally, you're never going to be able to step into that dream or that vision. So prayer, activated with a vision of what's possible for every individual in this room and for this community as a whole. 3, communication. We teach it in this church. Words are creative. The words that you are choosing to use are creating your reality. You are giving God life, and God doesn't care what words you use. God just responds. The infinite universe responds and says, that's what you want. Here you go. We're being very mindful and conscious about the words that we're using, and we're communicating. We are communicating about what's good, about what is holy, about what is sacred, and getting off the pity pot of whining about what isn't working. There's plenty of evidence if you want to find there, but let me tell you, you're creating more evidence the more you were engaged in that exercise. We're gathering evidence of the light. It may be that your life is in a dark place right now, but there is a little bit of light. Water it, nurture it, communicate about it, and tell everybody about that little bit of light. Number 4, participation. Generosity shows up as participation. Not just here at Unity North. Yeah, I would love it if you participated more fully here in the church community, but in your family, in your work, in the vision for your life. Participate fully and put your body behind that which you're envisioning for yourself. This is a unity principle. Number 5, get your body. The truth that we know is the truth that we live. The truth that we know is the truth that we activate with a step forward, with offering our hands, with doing something. So prayer, vision, communication, participation, and then the word that sometimes we always are afraid to talk about. We're not afraid to talk about it anymore, and that is investment. Investment. Money is nothing more than an energy, a symbol of energy, of what's going on the inside. That's it. And so we're going to have the money talk, but not number 5. Notice it's number 5. Prayer is number 1. These all are working together. These are all tools within the toolbox of transformation that we are going to climb to a higher place by using them proactively, by using them consciously. Yes? Jesus says in the book of Matthew chapter 6, verse 21, where your treasure is, there will be your heart. We're approaching this shift initiative from a little bit different standpoint, but it's the same idea. It's the same truth. Where your heart is, there will be your treasure. What are you looking at? What are you giving love to? What are you generously offering your life to? Because your greatest abundance is going to be in offering it fully. And if you offer mediocrity, if you offer less than, or if you're offering anything, whether it be prayer, vision, participation, communication, or investment, from a place of lack and a place of fear and a place of dread and resentment, guess what you are creating in your life? We are transforming. Here at the bottom of this ladder, that's where fear and lack, that's where doubt and resentment lives. I don't want to live there. I want to live up here. And I'm inviting and challenging this congregation to live at that higher level with me. Where your heart is probably here in this community today. You wouldn't be here otherwise. Some people at home, hello, their heart is in their bed right now. It's time to get up. But the reality is, where your heart is, the universe responds. Let me put it in Reader's Digest in very simple terms. We accelerate what we celebrate. We accelerate, we amplify that which we celebrate. And guess what we're celebrating in this community for the next 5 weeks and beyond? And that is generosity, giving, sharing, being at the highest level of expression. Where you generously share your heart, there will be your greatest experience of God. I will guarantee that. I don't give too many guarantees. But where you generously offer your heart is going to be your greatest experience of God. It's going to be your greatest blessing. It's going to be your greatest transformation. We're all about transformation, yes? Becoming more than we were yesterday, certainly more than we were 10 years ago. We're on a path, and that path is up the side of a mountain, and we're all walking to the top of that mountain together, all finding different ways, but it's all about transforming, letting go of the human condition, and realizing the full potential of our spiritual nature. And yes, where we share our heart, generously share our heart, there are going to be treasures beyond your wildest imaginations. There will be bounty of all sorts beyond your wildest imagination. So, you notice we have a ladder here. It's kind of hard to miss. This is nothing more than an outer symbol of an inner movement that is happening for me. I hope it happens for you. I hope you get on board this train, and it is happening for this community. We are elevating the perspective. We are elevating where we are going. An outer symbol of an inner movement of consciousness, of growth, and generosity. It represents the renewing of our minds as we shift our focus from what's down here, human, finite reality. finite, limited consciousness to an unlimited consciousness where our greatest expression and experience of God is going to be. It's a journey from stagnation to transformation. It's a journey over the next 5 weeks. Reverend Carol's going to talk about it next week, although I don't think she's going to climb the ladder. From stagnation to a greater faith and trust. From stagnation to a greater freedom. Anybody here want more freedom in your life? We all want that. We're going to climb this ladder together. From there to trust, to life, to freedom, to experience of oneness like we have never experienced before. There's a story in the Old Testament, the story of Jacob, who's running away from his brother because he's played a trick on him. But he falls asleep. And in his dream, there's a magnificent ladder. And that ladder is going to heaven. And in this church, heaven simply represents the state of oneness. The state of being, of knowing I am one with the infinite of God, and I cannot be separate from it. So the angels are ascending and descending on this ladder, up and down in his sleep. Angels, metaphysically, always represent our thoughts. Your thoughts. Angels are moving in your head right now in regards to what I'm saying. They're either of a high vibration or a low vibration. They're either of stagnation or of an infinite place. The words that are playing in the tapes in your head are either at a high vibration, at a low vibration. We are challenging ourselves. I'm challenging myself, and I'm challenging this community to be aware of those angels, to wake up from the dream, and to be aware of the angels that are getting life through what we say, through what we feel, through what we think, through what we are doing. And any one of us is on any given place on this ladder. Down here at the bottom, when you say the word generosity, fear comes up. When you say giving, there's anger or frustration, or I can't do that. There's a sense of lack. Up here is a realization that everything belongs to God. Everything is God, and that we cannot possibly outgive the universe. Down here, we will experience lack. Up here, operating at that higher place, you will never experience lack. You will be wealthy beyond your wildest imaginings. So we're on Jacob's ladder. So we start our journey of generosity. Here on the floor, somebody says, give. And the words that come out of our mouth and into our consciousness is, I can't. I can't give. I can't give prayers. I can't give participation. I can't give my money. I can't give any volunteer hours because there's not enough to go around. I don't have enough down here. It's playing very, very small. But you stay there long enough and stagnation gets very, very uncomfortable. And if you're on any kind of a desire to grow and to become, stirrings begin to happen in you. Something begins to stir and you say, I want to take a step. I want something different. And you take a step up. Just out of the desire to have a different expression. Suddenly, the elevation of what life is all about is raised. Simply because I had a desire. And now when generosity comes up, I don't have the words, I can't. But usually this is a first-time visitor to a spiritual community who's putting their toe in the water and saying, yeah, I'm going to go try out that cult. I'm going to go see what they're doing there, but for Pete's sake, don't ask me to do anything. So this first step is going to represent a spectator. All right? I'm going to call this growth. From this step here to I'm not even going to look, to here, I'm now a spectator. I'm going to check out what's going on. And this isn't just germane to Unity North Atlanta Church. It's any spiritual center. It's every spiritual center. You walk in the door and you go, I'm going to look and see what's going on. You become a spectator. And let me tell you, Lao Tzu, the founder of the Taoist religion, said the journey, you know this phrase, right? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And I'm going to ask each of you to examine where you are on this ladder. And it's scary if you're down here to say, I want you to come live up here. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you to go one step higher, and begin to see that the elevation of God is tremendous. Now, you're all here, so you're probably not on the ground. Maybe you're a spectator today. Maybe you're a spectator. But there's something calling you to a greater expression. I want to experience more. And you begin to notice that people's lives are changing around you. You're not in the game. You're in the arena. You're in the arena, but you're not in the game. And you say, I want what they're having. Something's magnificent about that person. And here is a decision point. You can make a wonderful decision. How come they have it and I don't? Oh, let me go back down. Or, I want what they have, and I'm going to be a victim. I go back down. Or go, I want what they have. I want to explore something that they're doing that perhaps I'm not doing. And so I went from I won't give to I can't give to I won't give. And now I become a first-time giver. First-time giver. For the first time, I'm going to try and participate. I notice these people that are joyous and happy and abundant give occasionally. So I'm going to put my toe in the water. I'm just going to dip it in, and I'm going to be a first-time giver. I don't know how to pray. I don't know how to pray. I've never done that in my whole life. But I'm going to give a little bit of prayer. I'm going to sit down and just be quiet and see if I can shut up my monkey mind and just be quiet one time. Or you know what? They ask for volunteers at church. One time, I'm going to put my hand up and say, okay, this is really scary. It's really risky, but I'll do it only one time. And what happens here is when the basket comes around, there is a shift. It's not I won't or I can't, but now what happens is I have to. Oh, we have the guilt card. Actually, we don't have the guilt card at Unity, but many of us has come from that place, haven't we? I'm in the room, these people are giving, I guess I have to do it too. And that's one vibration to play out, and I'm really grateful for everybody who feels that they have to give to this community financially. And I'm not going to decline your wonderful, generous gift, but I'm going to challenge you that there is a different way of visualizing that exercise of giving. It's a bit of a transaction. I have a transaction going on. Yes? But Anne Frank, one of my heroes, said nobody ever got poor by giving. Nobody ever went broke by generosity. And I begin to say, that felt really good. I gave something. I volunteered and I met some really wonderful people. And I felt a little bit more connected to those people, to the community as a whole. I gave and suddenly I didn't go broke because we're overcoming a mentality at this level that says if I give it to the church, then I'm not going to have any money to pay my bills. And suddenly I had money to pay the bills. I had money to give a tip to the minister. And I begin to say that there might be something to this spiritual practice of transformation. The angels begin to move within me and said, I'm not just going to do it out of a sense of obligation anymore. I'm going to participate at a different level. And I go up a step. And this is a huge step for a lot of people. I'm now a conscious giver. I am now awake that I am participating in something beyond me. I am participating in something that is beautiful and holy, and my giving changed somebody else's life. My being present in the room as an usher to greet somebody, that smile, let me tell you, I've seen lives transformed in the foyer before they ever get into this room because somebody for the first time smiled and said, I love you, I'm so glad you are here. That's a conscious person. That conscious person is waking up. Now what happens in this level is we begin to develop a mentality that many New Thought people are at. Giving is about getting. Oh, I'm conscious. If I give money, I get money. Yes. If I give service, my wife's going to serve me more when I go home. That one doesn't work. But a mentality begins to emerge that I am in a flow, I am in a transaction energy, I'm in a universe that is responding to my generosity, to my sharing. The universe is responding, and it's a wonderful place to be. But there's more to be experienced. But at this conscious level, I begin to wake up to a little bit corner of my mind that God is my source. Not my job, not my family, not my church, but God is my source. I begin to have a glimpse of the infinite field of possibilities that I cannot exhaust. I cannot exhaust that. Now, the view from up here, let me tell you, is a heck of a lot more tremendous than it is down there. And I've given up I've shed a little bit of suffering. Suffering are rocks and stones and souvenirs of hell that prove it's a finite reality. We've had to leave those behind, and life gets a little bit lighter. And let me tell you, you all look marvelous up here. And I begin to have a perspective of life that perhaps it's not as narrow or boxed in as I thought it was. That there's more God than I ever imagined up here just because I chose to go conscious and to participate. And that my relationship with you is so much more tremendous when I can transcend the difficulty of the human reality and elevate to a spiritual reality. Yes? And I recognize at the conscious level, step 3, how blessed I am, how grateful I am. But let me tell you the biggest step, and this is when it gets scary. It gets scary on a ladder too. Some of you, I was practicing this earlier. Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. I was practicing this earlier, and the music team was like, he's going to kill himself. And what came up was fear. Oh my gosh, he's going to fall. Let me tell you, when you make this step from a conscious giver to a consistent conscious giver, it is really scary. It's not a one-time practice. It's not a hobby anymore. We're not generously offering our prayers, our visions. We're not speaking positive words out into the world because they're making a difference. We're doing it on a regular basis. So we've left the realm of generosity as a hobby, and it is becoming a practice. And that is really scary because what happens is chemicalization. Everything that you have ever believed down there on the floor, and I can't look down there right now. I have to... Everything you believed in the finite, anchored human reality is going to come up and say, really? The residue that's left, the spiritual journey's been pretty easy up to this point. Now it's going to get really, really difficult. And I'm going to have to confront my fears and my doubts at the deepest part of who I am. But here at this level, and I love this quote, and I'm going to invite you all to turn your phones on, take pictures, because I want this all over Facebook. This church is playing in the 21st century, and that means we don't ask you to turn your phones off. We ask you to tell you that your life is transforming in this community and tell everybody. Tweet it, Facebook it, put it on your webpage. I don't care where you put it. Put it out somewhere. Take a picture and write these words. Generosity is no longer about a transaction, but generosity is about a transformation. Where I am today is so much brighter and lighter than I ever thought possible when I was down there on the floor, afraid to give of myself, to shine my light so brightly that you might know that that light exists within you. And that light's going to show up through standing up in front of people and praying. I don't know how to pray, but something within me does, so I generously offer my prayers. My prayers for you, my prayers for me, and my prayers for my community. My vision for your life, for my life, and my vision for this community. My participation, full participation, consistently with the community in your life. I'm as interested in your life as I am in my own. And it's a magnificent place of oneness that begins to emerge. And I am more generous today than I ever have been in my whole life. It's because I made a journey up. Here's what I know. We're only one thought away from heaven or hell. I'm only one thought away from that next step. And I'm only one thought. And I bet you recognize this move. Nope. Didn't work. It didn't work. That stuff they're teaching me at Unity North, it is a cult. It is a cult, and it's not right. And what your ego is going to tell you is, see, they're all about money. You know, I can ask you for prayer. I can ask you for vision. I can ask you for participation. You're like, yep. Up here you're going, yep. That's great and wonderful. And then when I tell you that the lights come with a bill, the heat and the air conditioning comes with the bill, and we lost an air conditioner Tuesday night at Wayne Dyer. So there's a bill coming. But when we talk about that, suddenly the whole equation changes. And you come from this step right back down to the place of fear. And it's really easy to go around and say, they're all about money in that church. They're all about money at Unity North Atlanta Church. No, we're not. Notice that money is number 5, but money is essential. It is essential to the well-being. Certainly pays my salary. But what it also does, it gives you beautiful music. It gives you fantastic singers like that. It gives you a room that's been picked up and cleaned and prepared just for you, for your transformation. It gives you somebody down in the kitchen who is the most loving Gandhi-like person on the planet, and that's Al Mango. It pays his salary. that you have a place to come to be reminded in a singles group, in a yoga class that April's leading on Saturday mornings, in a women's group, in a men's group. We have hundreds of activities. This is a thriving congregation, and it comes at a price tag. And I'm not shying away from going, it's got a price tag. And if you can sit in the equation instead of running back down the ladder and get back up on this level up here, you begin to realize the money is no different than the prayer, the participation, and the vision. God is abundant. And you know what happens at this level is there's no more sense of obligation. We've gotten rid of the I have to give. We've certainly transcended I can't give or I won't give. Here at the conscious giver, it's I choose to give. We've even transcended I choose to give. And now I'm saying to the universe, man, I get to be generous. I get to show up in your life and be a magnificent friend and help you remember the truth of your being. I get to show up and spend time with a family on Sunday morning and all stretch together, cry together, run down the ladder together, get back up on the ladder together. But then I'm caused to continue to grow. See, here at this level, it's not about giving to get. It's about participating. I'm seeking first the kingdom of God and not what is back on the earthly plane. And then I'm called to go to a higher place. By the way, this level right here, this is our consistent giving program. If you're not on our consistent giving program, I'm going to invite you to take one step up today and to fill out that form and be part of our consistent giving that says the good is for the community. It's not just for me, so I may not be there on a Sunday morning, but people's lives are still being blessed. Now, the biggest fear is about to happen. You're all sitting there going, is he really going to go up? I tried it once. And what I realized, and I love to look for analogies and metaphors, is that this is the greatest benefit of community when it comes to generosity. That top step, people have told me for years, don't take that top step. It's not safe. Don't go there. And I realized I can't do that alone. And what I realized is that if we are going to make this journey together, thank you. They said they were going to spot me, and I said, if I fall off this thing, you don't want to be down there. But the reality is, we are anchored and connected to each other in tremendous ways. Ways that we have discovered and ways that we have yet to discover. And this is your greatest prosperity. Because when you lean upon me and I lean upon you, and we realize that community, and we're all having the same exercise together, we become the stability for each other to go to a higher place and a higher level. Now let me tell you, here I am an investor. I've gone from being a first-time giver, and then I've gone to being a spectator, to a first-time giver, to a conscious giver, to a consistently conscious giver, and then I realized I can't do this journey alone. But let me tell you, the view up here is tremendous. You're beautiful. You're magnificent, not because of how you look. Even the bald-headed men up here are beautiful. But what is beautiful about this place is that we are doing this together. And I couldn't be standing on this step very long without you. And you won't be on there without a spiritual community. This is the greatest value. Beyond our music, beyond the investment in the talk, the staff, the kitchen, the exercises, these classes, and all of the above, is the community. And that's what you're investing in every time you participate through your prayer. Your prayer on a regular basis, not when it's convenient. You're holding the family members in your mind and your heart on a daily, consistent basis. And I begin to realize that your good is just as valuable as mine. And I want it for you just as much. And here, I'm realizing that generosity is who I am. There are no questions. There's no more thoughts about doing it. It's just who I am. That is transformation. That is the greatest view of God, the greatest view of humanity, the greatest view of spiritual community. And I want you to put this on Facebook as well, this quote. True giving is not an economic exchange. And when we transcend that idea, it becomes a spiritual beingness. True giving is not an economic exchange, it is a generative act. Up here, you're creating more life for yourself your community, and the world. And let me tell you, it does not subtract from what we have. It multiplies the good that is available for the entire world. And I don't like to say anything without putting my money where my mouth is. I know that there are people in this room that came here today that said, I desperately want to give. When that offering plate comes around, I want to give, but I can't today. I put my money where my mouth is. There's somebody in this room that if you have the guts to tell me today that I have a financial need, and I came here today and I cannot give of the financial thing, I have a check in my pocket. I think I had a check in my pocket. And I would like to contribute to the well-being. But you're going to have the guts to be a receiver, because with this stick and with this journey, we are givers and we are receivers. And what the shift is happening is, this is God's money. At this place right here, it's Desmond Tutu, I believe, who said this beautiful quote. I know it's here. Generosity comes from seeing that everything we have and everything we accomplish is God. It belongs to God. And so this check here is for God. And if there's somebody in this room, I'm going to invite you to raise your hand. They don't have to make a big splash about it, but this check for $50 is to contribute to your well-being and your wealth and my transformation. Where? Who's the hand? Okay, I'll get this check to you as soon as I'm done, and I fall off this ladder. But this check is for you. Thank you for allowing me to participate in your life in a tremendous way. And so here's what I know. On Jacob's ladder, we're all on this magnificent ladder of expression, of being, of learning and growing. And we're on any given step on this ladder. And I'm not judging where you are. All I'm asking you to do is to take one step in the direction of God. Take one step in the direction of a greater abundance, of a greater peace, a greater joy, a greater goodness, a greater magnificence that can happen through community, through generosity, through sharing more love. We're going to be doing this journey for the next 5 weeks. Tell everybody to come on back and see what Reverend Carol does with the ladder next week. She doesn't know about this ladder yet, but she's about to learn. But what I do know is we're going to anchor these ideas and thoughts, and some of them may resonate with you, some might not. Just take the one that resonates with you, and let's take it into a moment of silence.